work separately. Yes, Mr. Yuri Lowenthal, aka Sasuke.
Can I be on your panel?
Oh, okay. There's a chair right there. We have a surprise guest! Ta-da!
It's not that much of a surprise. You knew I was here, right?
Are you going to answer all my questions better than me?
I'm going to dub you while you're answering it. You just move your mouth and I'll dub you.
Okay, let's try it. Let's try it.
Okay, somebody ask a question and I'll dub Tara.
You have to watch me. You have to watch me.
Okay, well somebody's going to ask a question first. Yes, you? Sorry, yes, you? Oh, could you repeat the question, please?
How old are you?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question. Could you repeat the question? That's a very naughty question. You shouldn't ask it. Am I not doing it right?
No, you have to wait for the beeps.
Oh. Beep,
No.
beep.
I'm old enough to know better.
Right. She's certainly old enough to have known better to get involved with me. Yeah, that's a question. We don't ask a lady that question. You can ask me that question. I'll answer about me.
You're going to tell how old I am? That's nice.
No.
Yes, you have another question.
You watch the Japanese versions, see your character and how they're acting and their intonations and everything. You have to go into your session to do that. So you can, I know you do your own thing, but you try to stick to the original as much as possible.
Right.
How to decide a certain way.
Right, okay, so what you're asking is, when we go in to record, are we watching the original Japanese episode first so that we know what's going on for our character and what's happening in the show before we go in to record our lines and our character? And usually what happens with that is you do watch the Japanese loop that you're going to record. They give you basically it's pre-roll, you watch it in Japanese. You get a chance to sort of see what it is you're doing, so you can hear the beeps. The beeps are just I guess it's a term that they created because it's literally 3 beeps in a row. It goes beep, 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 and where the imaginary 4th beep would be present, that's where you start speaking. So you get trained as to, it's very Pavlovian, you get trained as to when you have to start talking, because it's much easier for you to be tracking the auditory sound and know when to start speaking than to watch the mouth on the screen, and sometimes things are off screen. And so with all dub, you're listening to the 3 beeps to know when to start speaking. And so when you're watching the Japanese pre-roll or the original sort of line, you're not watching the whole episode, you're just doing one line at a time. So you might watch the Japanese and you're actually like looking at a screen where you're literally watching the show, but it's just that one loop. And so it'll be like a 4-second pre-roll. And during that 4 seconds, you sort of see the character moving or what's happening, and then you hear beep, 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 and where that imaginary 4th beep would be, you see the Japanese character start talking and start saying...
Am I doing it in Japanese?
Yeah, do it in Japanese.
Omae nani shiteんだよ, kurobaki-yaro!
How do I say that now in English?
Yes.
I don't know if I can actually...
Okay, let's do a PG version.
A PG version.
Yeah, let's do a different line.
What the hell are you talking about, you idiot?
Okay.
Did I just say hell?
Here, why don't we do
I messed it up
PG
anyway.
line?
I didn't mean to say that.
Hey, I've got an idea. I'll be the Japanese animated image.
Right.
And you just say in Japanese, let's go eat.
Okay. 食べましょうか?
And then you get your beeps. Beep, beep, beep. And you say, let's go eat.
Is anybody else distracted by the Empire, by the Empire attacking from behind?
Yes. Yes, we commented on that.
It's okay.
Did you understand the hand puppeting though? That makes sort of sense to you guys? And so you watch the lines and it'll, let's try it in Japanese. Let's do the pre-roll for them. So do the same line in Japanese. So you're watching the pre-roll and you see the character moving and then you hear beep, beep, beep.
食べましょうか?
And then that's sort of what you watch. Then they say, okay, now we're going to do a take of this. And then you can still watch what's happening on the screen. You're looking at the screen and you hear beep, 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 let's go eat. Yeah?
Right.
Because you want to match the mouth flaps. So that's kind of what we're doing.
Yeah, and it depends on, you're going to be listening to the director. The director will let you know how close they want you to get to the original Japanese intention, or, you know, sometimes they'll give you free reign and you can sort of vary it however you want to, but sometimes they're like, look, they want to be really specific. They want it to be exactly like the Japanese was, only in English.
Right. So. Right. But so to answer your question, long story short, basically you're watching the episode in your loop clips. You're not watching the entirety of the episode because they're not translating it for you. You're just watching it in Japanese, seeing where the mouth moves, seeing what the inflection sounds like in that other language. But unless you're fortunate like Yuri and actually speak Japanese, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. So you can watch it and you can go, wow, she sounds really angry there, or she sounds sad, or you can listen for what the effect is on the words and the emotion, but you don't necessarily get a lot from that, except that you can read your line in front of you and go, oh, help me, I don't know what I'm doing, and then you see her crying and you're like, oh, that's a very emotional, help me, I don't know what, so you can sort of figure out what's going on. Yes?
Going back to how you started with the audition, like when you go to auditions for voice acting, like what exactly do they have you do? Like, is there like a specific thing you say, I want to audition for this, or when you go to that, what do they have you do? Like, how exactly was it that you got the spot?
Sure. Okay, so
I'll let her answer this question. But didn't the last time you said you had a giant keyblade,
I
right?
Did. I did.
And you were Lara Croft?
Yeah.
Just checking.
Good memory.
I didn't want to make anyone feel embarrassed by singling them out in the audience. Way to go, Yuri.
Sorry. I'm a nerd.
You're a cool nerd.
She's a cool nerd. So the question
All
is...
nerds are cool.
All nerds are cool. Long live the geeks. So the question is, when you go to audition for voiceover, how does it usually work? What do you do? How does that go down?
Oh yeah, but even like when you first start, like let's say that I want to do that, and it's my first time going to one of those offices. What do they generally?
What do they have you do?
Yeah.
Okay, so if it's your very first audition and you've never done it before, and you want to know what they have you do, usually they're calling you into the office to audition because they've gotten your demo in the mail and they already have an idea of what you sound like, which means even before that audition, you have to have gone into a recording booth, recorded various characters, have an editor engineer it and edit down your audition so you have a demo reel that's got a variety of your voices on it. And, I mean, like, usually, before you have an audition, you've already sent your demo reels to various studios and based on your demo reel.
Oh, okay.
Usually. If you're very fortunate and you happen to meet somebody and they are very nice and they're like, oh, we should just have you come in an audition, and you don't have a demo reel, so you've never done that, usually it's not going to be much different than if you're just auditioning for stuff all the time because you do it all the time. You're going to walk into the studio, they're going to give you some copy, which is the lines that you're going to say, and it doesn't matter if it's commercial or animation or narration or whatever type of style of voiceover it is, they're just going to have the page of narration. And then you are going to decide what you want to do with it. You're going to have to do your own actor choices on the material. They're going to stick you in the booth. They're not going to stick you, you're going to walk into the booth. And the engineer will come in, he'll adjust your mic placement for you, you'll put the cans on, which are your headphones.
Right, sometimes called cans for no apparent reason. I've never figured out why they call them cans.
I think because somebody originally was going to do the telephone and used cans.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway, so just so you're not confused if somebody says, put the cans on, you're like, what?
Yeah.
Over my head? What? Yeah.
So, and that's so that you can hear, because when you're in the sound booth, you're not in the booth with the director or the producer or whoever's going to be engineering it. They're in another room. Usually most voiceover booths have like a glass window that's soundproofed, that you can see out but you can't hear through. So you're shut into the room by yourself with the microphone, and you can only hear them if you have the cans on because it's mic'd through the wall and you guys can communicate. If you didn't have that on...
Unlike this room.
Yeah, where you can just hear everything. Otherwise you wouldn't be able to hear what they were directing you to do, or you wouldn't know where the beeps were, you wouldn't know any of that. You don't always have beeps for auditions, because sometimes you're just going in to read copy. But if you're doing sync audition, if you're doing it to picture, you'll have